Hello. So before I start this video, I want to remind you of two things. One, I am recording on my phone and the sound quality will probably be not good. It'll be alright, I think, maybe. And, well, I guess three things. Two, I'm recording in my garage. So that's another reason the sound quality may not be bad, and that's why all the clutter is behind me. And three, enjoy the video. And if you like it, like it. And if you want to, subscribe. Just if you want, I mean. Alright. Old games. We've all played them. Whether that be Halo 2 even, maybe. Or, heck, maybe even Minecraft, or, I don't know, Doom. Any of those old games. GoldenEye 007. We all know them. We all love them. Not all of us, but they're great. And those of us that have played them can agree that they're pretty eerie. In fact, I'd say they're quite scary when playing alone. When I was a younger lad and I would play Halo Combat Evolved or even Halo Reach, the maps or even the missions or just whatever, not so much Halo Reach, just more so Halo Combat Evolved, they were eerie when playing alone. You would get this feeling of, I would, a lot of people would actually, of being stalked or seeing something in the corner of your eye when you know you killed all the enemies and you turn to look, nothing. Or with Minecraft, all those early, I guess, conspiracy theories for Minecraft, like Herobrine or whatever else. As a kid, I think any kid that grew up playing Minecraft at one point believed that those were real. And that spurred, that gave way to a lot of the eeriness of Minecraft. It's the same thing with a lot of games that were before 2010, I'd say. Or even some new games. Like, there's this one multiplayer map on Halo 4. I think it's called Containment, I believe. It's like where you're in this facility in what looks like a flood-infested area in the picture of the map. It's eerie. And that game was what, 2013, 2014, something like that? Even then, graphics were good. It wasn't like old graphics, and there's something about old graphics that are weird. Like, for example, Halo Combat Evolved. All the multiplayer maps when playing alone were eerie, especially the very open ones, such as the snow map, I forget what it's called, or the, what's it called, I forget what it's called, the sniper map, kind of, or even the missions, like I said before, specifically 343 Guilty Spark. That was terrifying when I first played it, and I think that's the same experience we've all had when we first played Combat Evolved. You would go into that mission not expecting anything else than Covenant. You see a Covenant running. You see a downed... Before that, you see a downed Pelican. You see a crashed Spirit, Covenant ship. And as you're walking to the facility entrance, if you pay attention to your minimap, the radar, there is allies showing up on the radar. There's multiple reasons why that is so terrifying. One, because there's no one around you. no allies around you. 2, because those things that are showing up on your map are your infected allies, so they're showing up as your allies. Because I don't know how it exactly works, well, we don't have it in real life. But I think it's something like that, and that adds to the spookiness a lot. And now, in hindsight, I should have recorded this during October. But I got burned out, and, Anyway. So, what makes these old games so scary? I think it boils down to 1, 2, to 3 things. Graphics, nostalgia, 4 things actually. Graphics, nostalgia, liminality, and emptiness. First one, graphics. That adds to a uncanny factor. Old graphics, like, say, I don't know, Call of Duty 1, okay? Just original Call of Duty. The graphics in that were good for its time, but still uncanny. The NPCs in that were very uncanny. That is something in our minds, something primal, I would say. Sorry, spider. Something primal is activated by those, where it's almost human but not quite. And that's the reason why a lot of people find there's this old video on YouTube. I forget what it was called, but it was like a mannequin talking or something. It was like a robot or whatever, and it was like almost human but not. Something about it just is something about that uncanny factor where it's supposed to look human, but it isn't quite right. I think that's 25% of it. 2, nostalgia, or was it? Yeah, it doesn't matter the order. 2, nostalgia, which also goes together with liminality. The nostalgia we get from old games is often great. It's often filled with great memories, filled with online multiplayer matches. But when you go back and revisit those maps alone, it feels like there should be people there, and there's not. It feels like something happened. Like, it's as if you're reliving a memory, but it's not quite the same. Because there's no life. There is no players to be seen. Go back, revisit Halo 2, I don't know, not Blood Gulch, yeah, I guess Blood Gulch. I think that was Halo 2, if I'm remembering correctly. I'm sure a lot of people watching this, if they're a nerd like myself, have many memories on that map. Great memories. Playing with other people. Playing with their siblings, maybe. LAN parties. Or just random people on Xbox Live. I'm sure if those people were to go revisit Blood Gulch today, alone, it would be spooky. Quite terrifying. Nostalgia is also, in itself, a relatively scary concept. To me, it's wanting to go back. Wanting to relive that thing and knowing you can't. That adds to it again. That is another 25% of the horror aspect of old games. And now three. Liminality. Liminality is defined... Keep in mind, I'm just winging this, so I could get this wrong. I think it's defined as somewhere nostalgic, usually a transition area, like a hallway or a doorway or a lobby or anything like that. A staircase, maybe. And a nostalgic, a nostalgic area that is empty and feels like it should be bustling with people, as a lot of the time what it is. And usually, like I said, a transitional area, like a hallway or a doorway or a staircase or a lobby area. Heck, an elevator maybe. And a lot of these old games give off huge amounts of liminality. Specifically, Halo era games, Halo 1 and 2 era games. Once again, when you're in those maps alone, or even the missions like 343 Guilty Spark, in the multiplayer maps, because there's supposed to be people there, you know people are supposed to be there, and you're alone. It doesn't feel quite right. It's as if something happened. As if these people were driven out somehow, by something maybe. But you know that can't be true, right? No. Because of these old creepypastas of the old gaming days, a lot of us didn't know if it was true or not. And that adds heavily to the horror aspect. So that is 75% of it, those three things. Now I'm forgetting what the fourth thing is. So it was graphics, nostalgia, liminality. What was the fourth thing? Emptiness. That's what it was. Because these games couldn't... The games that were running on the old Xboxes or PlayStations or SNES, sorry, because these consoles were not strong by any means. I mean, they were for the time, but nowadays they're pretty weak. They couldn't run all these little minute details in the maps. So for a lot of them, there might have been a few trees, depending on the format. Maybe some rocks. That's about it. Maybe a base on one side and a base on the other side. But there was not enough to make it feel full, to make it feel like you should be there. It felt fabricated, and it was, because it was a game. But it still was not... Knowing it was a game did not help the scary factor, but it didn't hurt it either. Didn't make it worse, didn't make it better. What made it worse was the emptiness, the lack of detail, the lack of scenery. Like I said, you might have a few rocks, a few trees, two bases. That's about it. Not to mention the skyboxes barely had detail in most of the games. And in these huge maps where it feels like there should be so much going on, and there's nothing happening. No movement, nothing. Maybe a few flashing lights from, like, in the snow map from Halo 1. There's these blue flashing lights, and that's about all the movement that happens. And just, in a lot of these levels, there's no music. Just ambient sound. Wind. Maybe you hear something off in the distance. Can't see it. But then you think you catch a glimpse of it. You look closer, nothing's there. And then it builds up from there. That is, those 4 things add up to 100% of the horror of old games. Now, why these individual things are scary besides liminality? I mean, and well, yeah, I guess a few of them, half of these 4 things, 2 of them, can be rationalized as scary, being liminality and emptiness. But the other 2, graphics and nostalgia, why would those 2 things be scary? Especially bad graphics. Why would they be scary? Or, I guess not bad, but old graphics. What makes them so terrifying? So genuinely horrifying in some cases? I don't know. But it does. It just does. And I'm sure there's some, I don't know, scientific explanation for it, but the truth is, it just is scary, and I don't know why. And that adds to more scariness. Not knowing why something is so terrifying, so fear-inducing, adds more fear. And then it keeps piling up and piling up. Those 4 things are why I personally believe old games are terrifying. Now, if you enjoyed this video, thank you for watching, and wait a minute, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, there we go, leave a like, and if you want, subscribe. My goal, I'd say, is to get at least 100 maybe by the end of January next year. So, that gives us 3 months. I'm already at 50, halfway there. Hoping this video does well, but anyway. Have a great day, and that was why I believe old games are terrifying.